Say, without a shadow of a doubt, it's the Crockett Show in social media history. I want to welcome you to another episode of Dirty Politrickz, Compliments of the War Zone. I got my man Chuck Maul in the building, Aubrey R. Taylor, and I am the 5-star general. It's dirty, it's Politrickz, so we gonna talk about it. Let's get to it. Say, man, I want to welcome y'all to another episode of Dirty Politrickz, and you got three of the coldest in the game out here breaking down this political game. My man Chuck Marler, Aubrey R. Taylor, and the 5-star general Gary Monroe. I had a good day. We'll start it off like that, man. I woke up this morning, and I say I got to get me something because I got to get around here and campaign. And I really wanted my golf cart, but just couldn't find none in a decent price range. So I went got me a scooter. You'll see me all around the hood on a scooter, campaigning my behind off. I can tell you that much. But I just got a bombshell, man. There was a meeting of the Texas Coalition of Black Democrats tonight, and Mr. Terrence Shanks called the vice chair, Sharon Berry, African-American woman, a stupid motherfucker. Mr. Shanks, don't sue me. Don't waste your time. You know why? Because we got it on tape. We got it on tape, homeboy. Go call your daddy Carole and tell him you got a problem, and you might have to step away from the organization. Aubrey and Chuck, what's going on, my friends?
Man, it's just been a busy day, man. This week has been crazy. You know about some of it, man. I don't know, man. Seems like an implosion that I'm looking at.
What about you, Chuck? How's it going, dog?
Well, PACs, what PACs are supposed to do is advocate for issues. And it seems like these PACs that y'all are dealing with are just trying to enrich people's pockets. And they're not really what a core mission of a PAC is supposed to be. A PAC is supposed to advocate issues and help support issues, not to be a cudgel against people in their own party. And it's definitely not supposed to be an engine to enrich the people that start the PAC.
Well, this is what I want to do. Let's start it off like this. If you know a politician, I want you to share this video to your favorite politician's page right now. Black, white, Republican, Democrat, I want you to send it to their page right now. Because this is what we finna talk about tonight, to me, is nothing more than money laundering and organized crime. That's what it is to me. I'm calling it like I see it. Now, in case y'all wondering what Chuck was talking about, we're talking about political action committees, and they're called political PACs. So people create these PACs to do exactly what Chuck just said. But we've uncovered something down here in Harris County. It looked like just Harris County where all the criminals reside. Man. Are they going to make people think this is where all the criminals reside? Like they got some really good people out there, man, that's really doing their thing. I like one of my favorite judges is Judge Deidre Davis, just off the chain, man. Got love for you. See what I'm saying? Judge, City Councilwoman Lynn Clauser. I like good people like that. You know what I'm saying? Fort Bend District Attorney Brian Middleton. They got good people everywhere. But in the midst of all them good people, we got some criminals. We got some bona fide criminals. The Texas Coalition of Black Democrats has been on our radar for about the last 2-3 weeks. And we've uncovered something that's very, very unique. Carole Robinson is the president, if I'm correct, Aubrey, of the statewide organization of the Texas Coalition of Black Democrats. Terrence Shanks is the president of the Harris County fraction. Farrell Bonner is the new president of the Fort Bend fraction. You feel what I'm saying, y'all? Y'all follow me? But it's something about these PACs. Make sure you sharing this video to all your political friends, because we may be about to save them a ton of money, especially if you ain't one of our skin folk. If you look like Chuck, the PACs we finna name might be out to get you because they think you got a bunch of money. So, Aubrey, if you can you kind of lay out what we found, and then we'll dig off into it?
Yeah, so what we identified this week is two committees where Antron is the of all three. Carol Robinson, the president of the Texas Coalition of Black Democrats, actually donated the first $100 to all three.
Hold on a second.
And then from
so you telling
there,
me they got 3 new PACs, and Carol Robinson donated the first $100 to get all 3 PACs started?
Yeah.
Okay, keep going.
Yeah. So now, once you've got that, what we found, I don't know if you have that on the computer, but we have a situation where one of the PACs very early on, gave $5,000 to one of the other PACs, or I don't know how that was proved or what their process was there, but $5,000 went from one PAC to the other PAC. So where Antron is the treasurer of both.
We're talking about Antron Johnson, right?
Yes.
Okay, so Antron Johnson is the treasurer of the 3 new PACs, right?
Yes.
Don't that seem strange to you, Chuck? To be the treasurer of 3 brand new PACs?
Well, 3 PACs that have problems. So in other words, he obviously is not a very good treasurer.
Well, I want to say this here because I don't want him to be upset with me. Antron is the type of guy who doesn't have the skill set to be the treasurer of a PAC, let alone 3 PACs. What Antron is, to me, my opinion, he's the new Chris Oliver for Carol Robinson. If we remember, Carol had some issues at the Houston Community College when he was over there. And Chris Oliver was the guy that got caught up and kind of fell on the sword for everybody. And when he fell on the sword, Chris Oliver ends up in the feds. So now it looks like the new Chris Oliver is Antron, who's signing his name on all of these PACs that Carol seems to be donating the money to start with. Go ahead, Ar.
But there's another twist to it. I'm going to read off here a little bit. Earlier this year, so there's a new dynamic to all of these PACs getting started. So I'll give you a backdrop to this. I don't know if you guys know attorney Melanie Miles. Melanie Miles is the ex-wife of Boris Miles. Okay, Melanie was a Republican. While she was a Republican, she ran under the name back in 2014 as Melanie Wilcox Flowers. Okay, so she lost in 2014 in the Republican primary against 3 candidates. Yet it was a very tight race. They all got about 33%, but she did not make the runoff and got beat there. Then she took on Sandra Peake. She ran as a Republican again, and she came out of the primary that time on a Republican side, but she ran up against Sandra Peake, Judge Sandra Peake, who's now the judge for the 257th. Okay, after she took that loss, then what happened was in 2020, she switched names and left the Republican Party and came over to the Democrat Party, and she ran under the name Melanie Miles Flowers, and she took away that 140. So she ran as a precinct chairman for precinct 140, and she beat Verlinda Higgins. Shortly after that happened, Carroll and his group, Texas Coalition, appointed her. Well, let me make sure I get this right, man. I've got to be real technical here. They put her over, and this wasn't highly promoted here in Harris County. I wound up finding this over in the North Dallas Gazette, where they were reportedly that was agreement between Carroll and some type of new Texas alliance of black PACs. Okay, I'm just going to read the first couple sentences here. It says the Texas Coalition of Black Democrats, in preparation for the 2022-2024 cycles, has organized a statewide Texas Alliance of Black Political Action Committees to engage in coordinated local, statewide, and national fundraising to increase overall funding to maximize Black Democratic voters. But the key here is that this historic initiative will be led by small business owner Melanie Miles. No flowers, no anything. So that's a little bit funny that you would take a Republican, a former Republican, and put that Republican over all of these black, more or less Democratic PACs across the state, while at the same time you have a situation where these three new ones are created.
This is what I think, y'all. That a lot of African American politicians listen to us, and they're not saying anything, but they're listening because they work hard for their money. That they're not gonna get as much money out of the black politicians as they really want. This is what I feel. And they're like, okay, well, I tell you what, if Monroe running a PAC and he seemed like he illegal, we ain't gonna mess with him. We're gonna go over here, we're gonna work with Chuck's PAC. But they don't have a clue that my money started Chuck's PAC. So if they say, well, no, we ain't gonna do Chuck either, we're gonna go to Arbery. But they still don't have a clue that my money started Arbery's PAC. So no matter where you spend your money, I'm still gonna get your money. This is the way the PACs look, the way they're set up. I think the PACs have been set up to actually steal large sums of money from white candidates that have big bank accounts. This is what I feel. Because if you go back and you look at something that was said a while back, there was a statement made where somebody could have possibly got Beto for about $80,000 in the last election. Okay, when you think about these PACs, what do they actually do for the candidate? Oh, we're going to deliver you the black vote. You're a lie. You don't deliver the black vote. You don't pass out a push card. You don't put no poll workers at the poll. You don't do anything for these candidates, especially the white ones. So if you got candidates coming through on the white side in the primary and the general, 22 and 24, and they white, they just gonna take their money and not do nothing for them. I can't be wrong, because when I work for a client, Arbery, you see me out at the polls sweating. You see me out there working and running bad leg and all, working my behind off for anybody that I'm working for. In the last election, not just PACs, but Democrats in general really didn't have nobody at the polls. So if you paid them your money, then what did you pay them for? Why take people money for a service that you're not going to provide? But what I think, this is me, what I think is, in the hood, Chuck, we call it hitting a lick. They trying to hit a lick on these white politicians. And they trying to hit them hard, man. They trying to hit them hard. Somebody going to come through, want to spend $150,000. They going to take the 150. They ain't going to do nothing for them. The hell with that white boy. That's how they do it. Unless I'm wrong, somebody tell me right now if I'm wrong.
Yeah, I think it's a little bit. Yeah, let me go, Chuck. It's a little bit deeper than that, Gary, because what's going to happen is these guys can monopolize the process and take out other black PACs. So say you got you got other black political organization, political action committees out there, and these guys can monopolize the system and they can to where these candidates, mostly it's going to be, you know, I wouldn't say so much Hispanic candidates because they kind of do their own thing, but it's going to be the white candidates where they can actually make it appear as though that these candidates are indeed the best candidates by showing, you know, 6 or 7 endorsements from organizations with, you know, black in the name. So when those candidates, if they go put out, you know, print 500,000 push cards, spread those things around Harris County, most of the voters are not going to go do the due diligence once they see these names, if you understand where I'm coming from. So what happened is it's a form of fraud to where, you know, they can make it appear as though people have, that they support have the support of the black community per se, which is a major problem, especially if the individual voters don't do their due diligence and do their homework, which is going to be virtually impossible for them to do with so many candidates and all of these endorsements floating around. Man, it's a bad thing about to happen.
I mean, these PACs are flying out everywhere. We're talking about these 3 PACs. But then we have to also look at the fact that Darnella Wilkerson, who's in the Texas Coalition of Black Democrats, Harris County, is the treasurer on multiple PACs also. She's the treasurer on multiple PACs also. And the thing about these PACs that they're creating is they're not doing the paperwork. They're not, you know, they're not doing what the state of Texas needs them to do as far as showing where they got money from, showing where their money went. You see what I'm saying? You know, it's not showing where they're getting this money from. And then you take 5,000 out of my PAC, we shift it over to Chuck's PAC. That look like you cleaning money to me. From where I'm from, Chuck, what you think?
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely not the way that you're supposed to be doing this. I mean, it's supposed to be pretty transparent as to this is the people that donated, this is how much we made, and this is our objective. And they're basically playing a shell game with that because at the end of the day, it's about enriching a few people's pockets. It's not about you know, effectively making change for an issue they're supposed to be arguing for.
But what issue are they arguing for? I'm gonna be honest with you. I don't know what issues they're actually arguing for. You know, and then on top of those PACs with Darnella and then the 3 with Antron, you got 3 that's lingering in Fort Bend County. All Texas Coalition in Fort Bend County. Now, the one in the middle, Texas Coalition of Black Democrats, Fort Bend County, I think that's what it's called. They're saying that the coalition is saying they're not members. Well, I put my hand on an email today where it shows the members. Hold on a second, because I'm here to bust your head open tonight. Yes, I'm here to bust your head open tonight because the games need to stop. Hold on, let me go up in here. Let's I'm looking for something, y'all. Let's make sure we got it. There we go. Let's see if y'all know some of these people. This coalition, Fort Bend and vicinity. You know, this is the brand new PAC here. Tell me if you know some of these people. Evelyn Wicks, Cynthia Gary, Dolores Woodard, Cynthia Ginyard, Japaula Kemp, Yolanda Ford, Farrell Bonner, Floyd Davis, Orjanelle Lewis, Eric Jackson, Barbara Roberts, Stephanie Brown, Coretta Brown. You know any of them people in there? We know quite a few of them people. May be in there just to do the right thing. You see what I'm saying? Some of these people I personally know would not get involved with anything illegal. But it's something about this PAC that ain't right. It ain't right. Now, Mr. Bonner, I called your name. Can you tell us how you got this PAC maybe a week or 2 ago? How you became the president of this PAC? You see what I'm saying? Let me read your comment. I want to read your comment before I start. OG, I can listen to you on this stuff, even though it pains me to see black tearing black down. And I can even stomach Aubrey for entertainment purposes. But why the hell is the white Republican allowed to get in our business? You losing me with that, bro, because the white Republican is my friend. And the white Republican don't have a problem with black Democrats. The white Republican ain't got nothing to do with black people violating the law. We so worried about a white man sitting on this show, but we ain't worried about them black folk that's out there violating the law. Now, I got a problem with it. Chuck got a problem with it. Aubrey got a problem with it. These black folk is making other people think that all us black folk are illegal black folk. And we not. So this ain't no Republican tearing them down. If they didn't want their answers in the streets, if they didn't want their business in the streets, don't do nothing for it to go out there. And we ain't tearing nobody down. Somebody tore me down the day they said a Republican paid me to do what I do. And I've been doing this for 9 years. Did anybody think of it like that? Nobody stood up for me and told nobody, no, don't say that about Monroe, because that ain't how you get out. So now it's fair game. They out here doing what they're doing, and they're doing it to our people. They're not benefiting our communities, and they ass is grass when it come to Gary Monroe. Chuck Baller, I will get iron for him. Aubrey.
I don't know how people say, man. We're in a situation where we're headed into an election cycle where we have more African Americans running for re-election than we've ever had in the history of Harris County, dude. And the form of corruption, that we're seeing from the African, I mean, dude, it's everything that I'm seeing leads directly back to African Americans. Everything. It's kind of like you're walking through a building, man. You're opening doors. You're trying to find your stuff. Man, it's all leading to black folks, man. It's all leading to us. And this is not a partisan issue, man. It's not Republican versus Democrats. We can't even, if Robert Williams decided that he wanted to run for office and he ran up against the machine that's working, doing this illegal, nefarious stuff, man. I mean, he wouldn't be able to beat him. So you have a situation where we've got to ferret out some of this stuff. We've got to clean up the process, and we've got to be able to have a situation whereby which people who feel like they're compelled to run for office, who feel like it's their destiny to become an elected official, that they have a legitimate shot to do so without anyone gaining an unfair advantage over them, dude.
One of the PACs, since Rob brought that up, is called Reform HISD. It ain't but one African American, well, it's two of us now, that's running, but one that has the ability to win. The other one just popped in, but this PAC popped up before he popped in. So who do they plan on running against me? Who does this black PAC plan on running against me? Oh, we got a problem. Because everything we sitting on, I could drop that shit off on 290 like I did today, and I could drop some more off over there. These people are dirty, and it's not benefiting our community. Y'all standing around talking about voters' rights. You marching like you in Selma. Ain't no Negroes was marching today, by the way. What y'all forgot they had a march coming from Georgetown? Number white folk out there marching for your voters' rights. Since we got a problem with white folk, what number white folk out there marching for your voters' rights? But at the same time, they're tearing down the black community by putting in these snakes that ain't doing nothing but lining their pockets. But we don't want to call them snakes. We want them to keep representing us. Can't have it no more, bro. Gonna expose them every time. Can't have it no more. And what you thought you were gonna get on the Wednesday night, Rob? This dirty Politrickz, man.
Gary, I'll add that Williams that commented earlier, first off, doesn't know if I'm registered Republican or Democrat. And then secondly, he couldn't argue issues. The only thing he said was white Republican. So why didn't he just say Republican? In other words, he don't have an argument. He's just trying to get people to rally with his statement, and his statement's worthless.
The one thing about me and Robert is some days we don't agree on everything, but we agree to disagree. I consider him a friend. But the one thing I know, this ain't got nothing to do with no white Republicans sitting on this show. These are black people that have they're trying to monopolize the system to put who they want in office, and at the same time steal money from hardworking people. They can't justify their money. And in the game that they in, they have to justify it. There is no getting around it. You have to justify the money that comes in and the money that goes out. There is no getting around it. I had to do my midterm report, and I had to actually call Chuck because I didn't have a printer. And I told Chuck, and I told him just to print one page 30 times, but Chuck printed the whole packet 30 times for me. Now go look at my report and see all them donations that these people gave me is on my report. They got to do the same thing that I did. Aubrey?
Yeah, man, here's the issue. When it comes to the Texas Coalition of Black Democrats, that Harris County chapter, you have a situation whereby which since at least 2015, so we're talking about 2015, 2016, 2017, 18, 19, 20, and 21, this PAC has been inactive. It's been inactive, dude. They should not have been making any endorsements. They should not have been collecting any membership fees or dues. They should not have been strong-arming any candidates. None of it, dude. None. They should not have been doing anything related to doing business as a political action committee. So here's the problem with that. You have a situation where we don't know where any of the money went that they took in during this period. We don't know where any of the dues went because there were no reports filed, according to what I've seen on the TEC website, on the TEC website, Texas Ethics Commission. So that's a major issue, and it's in the spirit of public interest that I'm talking about this, man. I mean, and you have all these individuals talking about black. Well, I'm also a black man. I have a lot of black candidates, dude. A lot of black clients. I don't understand where this is coming from. You have a situation where between 2015, 2021, that this Corolla and these guys have been running a political action committee that's inactive, dude, should not be doing anything. And none of these folks who are coming on here talking about stomaching me or any of this stuff, they should be asking those questions. Every candidate who gave money to these individuals should be outraged because of this. So look, here's the thing, that it goes to what you talk about them not doing anything. So even if they were taking and printing their endorsement slates on a copier at Carol's house, they still would have had to buy paper. They still would have had to have people to distribute them, whether they were mailing them. They would have needed stamps for that. You know, where is that type of when they're taking the candidates to these churches? Somebody's driving the bus. I don't know if they do that, but some of the other organizations do. But when they're parading these candidates around, man, all of that stuff has to be paid for. And any citizen is supposed to be able to go and look at that. We have none of that. You don't have to take my word for it. So it's not a personal issue. Anybody can go to the Texas Ethics Commission's website and they can clearly see inactive PAC, and they can see that there's no reports. So we don't know what was done, what happened to the money, any of that. That has nothing to do with Chuck, me, or anybody else. It's giving information, and that information, and we have a right to put forth this information, man.
Now, there's a prominent African-American politician. We won't say their name. And just so y'all will know, we digging through all y'all business. Anything that's public record, we digging through it. We saw a discrepancy today. And we just kept on digging before. And this is a prominent African-American politician. And we kept digging until we figured out that maybe this is a clerical error, because it showed like a $500,000 jump with no expenditures whatsoever. But we decided, Auburn 5-star, maybe this is a clerical error, because I know this particular person doesn't even raise that kind of money, but yet I've never seen or heard of them doing anything unethical. They are a Democrat, so therefore we're not going to put them out there like that. I don't think it's fair for anybody to have their money stolen from them. Now, we just talking about Harris County. We ain't even talking about Dallas, who's been disbanded since 2011. But yet, they just did a fundraiser 2 weeks ago. So for over 10 years, they have been defrauding these politicians of their money, saying they're providing these services for them that they're not providing. Chuck.
Yeah. You know, I don't know why they thought they were going to get away with this. I mean, it would have been so easy to file these reports. You know, even if the reports were slightly inaccurate, they would have gotten away with it.
You know what, Chuck? I asked Aubrey today, I told him, I said, I'm going to tell you something, and I want you to listen. I asked him, I said, what's the difference? I know I didn't. I'm going to ask Chuck. What do a mad scientist and a regular scientist that work for good have in common?
They both don't take care of minor issues.
They're both highly intelligent. So the mad scientists, the ones that are not doing the reports, that are hiding money, say they know exactly what they're doing. And they know the rules of engagement with the Texas Ethics Commission. As long as nobody ever files a complaint, nothing will be done. The problem comes in when we find it and we actually file a complaint. Now you got a problem. But as long, it could go 30 years if you don't file a complaint. Texas Ethics ain't gonna bother with that. But as soon as you file that complaint, or they get multiple complaints, now they'll start looking into it. You see what I'm saying? And I agree with Errol. This is Errol's comment. Some of them think blacks in Houston are simply stupid, weak, disorganized dummies. Hence, incumbents keep their seats. Sound like a prophet to me. We out here battling for these people who are out here basically violating the law. But let one of these youngsters violate the law. We need to lock them up and throw away the key on them. You're fighting for bail reform, justice reform. Some of these people need to be locked under the penitentiary. What they've done in Dallas County is far worse than what they've done in Harris County. They've been disbanded for 10 years. They wasn't trying to file no reports. They wasn't doing nothing, but they was just conducting business. So how many thousands of dollars did they beat some of these candidates out of? How much money? And it all goes back to one person. It all goes back to one person. And I will tell you, Mr. One Person, we on your ass like stank on shit. You ain't gonna get away with it. And that's all it boils down to. You're not gonna get away with it.
Well, the sad part is that you and Aubrey are taking heat that, hey, you're doing this and you're destroying the Democratic Party and you shouldn't be doing this. It's that kind of mentality that allowed crooked cops to stay on the job in the 80s and 90s and 2000s, because people didn't want to say anything that were associated with them because they didn't want the whole group to look bad, instead of cleaning house and moving on.
Yeah, I want to go back to talk a little bit more about what happened earlier today, Gary. There are so many people out here who believe that we're going after black folks and that we're doing this. I will say I'm gonna go a little bit further than Gary did. This was an African American female that we were talking about. What happened this morning was I got several tips almost back to back about a particular African American, well-known African American elected official. When I got those tips, I actually went to follow up on the tips, and the information was the tipsters were correct in their assessment. So rather than jump the gun like people believe that I do without doing research, I called Gary and other members of my team and told them what I had and what had been brought to me. Gary, I think, was the first one who vouched for the African American even before I did, because I'm basically looking at the facts. Gary is the one who said, and he didn't give himself credit, said, hold up here. I know this particular person. This particular person, this is not right. So we spent almost all day looking at it, going back. I'm combing over the reports. So Gary, I don't think you know this, but I, upon your recommendation, actually called the office of this particular state rep, and I alerted them to what I found, and gave them the facts of it. And then they did their due diligence, and I got a call back from someone high up in the campaign who was very, very thankful that I didn't run with this, because this is a major situation that we were looking at. This is something that if it had landed into the wrong hands, it could have, this person's, who's going to be running for re-election, could have been destroyed, because it basically, on paper, unless someone like me is looking at it, it looked like the person had collected over 600 and at least $40,000 and had not accounted for it on their campaign finance reports. So if someone other than me was looking at this, that's what on paper it said. So someone could have run with that story. It's not our business to determine, okay, the person made a mistake. That's not our business. What we're looking at is a legitimate official filing of a document that has a specific number on it, 672,000. Now, the uniqueness to that is that the previous report for this particular individual only had 40,000 on it. I think that's what drew Gary off. So, it was a situation where we could have, if we were looking for likes or anything like that, we could have run with the story. But my team and Gary, again, is the one who alerted us and vouched for the person, which caused us to really, really look at this thing hard and dig into it. And I think we got the right resolve. They're going to get it corrected. We don't need to say anything about the name of the person. And I like to just commend you, Gary, and thank you for that. And I think that's why we're such a good team. I mean, people, I know people.
But be honest. If the Republicans were paying me,
yeah,
I could have did them this morning.
Yeah.
I could have did them. But I know this person, and I know that they're not unethical. And I know they don't get a lot of money in the game. They don't raise a lot of money. So I knew something was wrong, because they wouldn't do something like that. I just knew it in my heart that they wouldn't do something like that. So that the myth of somebody's paying me to go after Democrats, that just went out the window. Because this is a prominent African-American politician that could have got, I'm talking about, twisted up so bad, it wouldn't even been funny. But you're right. I didn't know you had talked to other people, but just based on what I told you, we pumped our brakes and we went back and we looked at that thing.
Yeah.
But
what's sad too is y'all digging into this had a lot to do with the PAC deciding to send a B team player to harass y'all. So in other words, they sent a child to do adult work, and now that caused them big problems. So great organization skills on their part.
Yeah, man, this is crazy, Chuck. I mean, you got a situation where really the Texas coalition wasn't even on our radar, dude. we were,
No.
yeah, we were. Look, we were way over. We wind up having to again to defend me and Gary. I mean, we wind up having to defend ourselves. So this is what caused all this digging, man. And I'm gonna tell you something, man. They have a situation that they're going to be facing probably in the next 2 weeks, man. I mean, they have a major situation. They have a major problem now because you're absolutely right. They sent someone, I mean, to play in a man's game, dude, who's not ready for the big leagues, man. Just was not ready. They violate every rule, man, of engagement in this thing. They definitely didn't even consider the opponents that they were going up against. They considered nothing, man. This was a crazy move on their part. And they were not even on our radar, man. But now they are.
Well, I tell you this here, man. This wasn't your what you normally do. Definitely is not something Chuck normally does. But I know it's a lot of people out there that don't like me for whatever the reasons. And I always tell them, well, get in line. It's stretch around the corner anyway. So I don't really care if you like me or not. At the end of the day, you threw a rock. Okay, but when you threw it, you missed. So now instead of us just picking up a rock and throwing it back, hold on, let's get all the rocks together now. We need a bunch of rocks. And then as we started picking up the rocks to throw them at you, we looked down on the ground and we saw something else. See, you opened them doors. We didn't open those doors. You criminals sent a rookie. And in the immortal words of somebody very, very prominent, you sent a rodeo clown to come after Aubrey and 5-star. And I'm battle tested. That's why they call me 5-star. This is what I do every day. I battle these people. So the thing is, I'm not worried about no Republicans. Republicans don't control my neighborhood. They're not over my particular community. I'm worried about my representation, who right now has been out defrauding politicians. They've been defrauding politicians. So why would anybody get upset that we're trying to save politicians money? Some of these people hard-earned money that they didn't raise. That was their 401k money to run their campaigns. We're trying to make sure that if you're giving money to these folk, that they doing something for you. Look, if you're running for office, why do you need to go to the church and pay the pastor? The pastor should be invested in your campaign. You done raped enough of your parishioners on money on Sunday. You should be giving money. They didn't already ask me, man, you gonna go see so-and-so pastor? Man, I'm not giving them knuckles a dime. Nothing. I'm not giving them nothing. I done put the work in. But if you out here and you violating the law, I know some of the Texas laws. Somebody show me in the law book. Oh, matter of fact, Aubrey and Chuck, let's go to the Bible. Where does it say in the Bible that thou shalt not snitch on a crooked politician? God wants me to tell on you. God wants me to report you to the feds. I'm doing God's work, Aubrey.
Flipping the gambling tables over in the temple.
Rodeo clowns coming after us. Rodeo clowns. Rodeo clowns. But I'm gonna be honest with y'all, man. Some of y'all, this ain't your lane, bro. Some of y'all just some good people. You're hustling. I'm not trying to knock your hustle, man. I'm really not trying to knock your hustle, man. If you step off into my lane, then I'm gonna spank you. I'm gonna spank you if you step off into my lane. And that's what y'all did. So now you got one rodeo clown that got everybody hot now. Remember when G Money made that mistake in New Jack City? He had everybody in CMB hot. All of y'all hot right now, man. All of y'all need to go to jail.
Well, I'd like to thank that rodeo clown because that rodeo clown led us to where the bull was, where all the bullshit is, and we're collecting it.
Aubrey, I need you to make a phone call. Can you do that for me? Make a phone call. I need you to look up the universe soul circles. I need you to find the universe soul circles and tell them they done forgot one of their rodeo clowns downhill. Or either call the Houston Livestock Show and Rodeo. Maybe when they was over there playing with the early ballots, one of the rodeo clowns just got out and got them a swing, got them a old school with some swingers on it, and now they run around Houston in front of news cameras. But stay in front of them cameras, because I can guarantee you, I'm gonna make you feel like the paparazzi after you when I get through.
Well, being in front of the cameras is good, man. That's exactly what we want to see. We want to see being in front of cameras, getting publicity. Doing all those sorts of things is going to make the story that much bigger. Because look, this is a train wreck that's about to happen here in Harris County, man. When you have these many individuals and these organizations, man, working, Chuck, working in concert with one another, man, with this illegal activity, dude. You're getting very, very close. If you're not already there, man, to organize crime, RICO Act type stuff, man. This is serious situation, man. These guys actually took $3,000 from the district attorney, dog. So you can keep this lid on this thing as long as you want to, but we're gonna bring some pressure to this. $3,000 from the district attorney, and you wasn't supposed to be taking money at that particular time, So, and you have a situation when she came to that meeting, and this rodeo clown went outside with her, man. We know all of that. So, that's all I'm going to say about that particular situation, man. But you've got some stuff that's going on here, and these people just really don't know what they're playing with and who they're playing with, how many sources we have, where the information's coming from. Again, they just didn't do their due diligence, man, before they got into this fight. This is one that they did not want, and it's going to have a lot of collateral damage with it before it's done.
Every judge that's out there that's watching this show, we know because of your judicial canons that you can't comment on some of the things we talking about. But if the rodeo clown come up in your courtroom, you need to spank that ass. You need to spank that ass like they a porno star. I'm serious. Because some of these people will have to come into some of these courtrooms. The problem is, and I want you to, maybe you can speak on that, Aubrey or Chuck. Why is it that folks that are not judges, that don't have the restraints of judicial canons, why are they not saying nothing right now? Why isn't prominent African-American politicians outraged right now?
Well, let me speak to that. I think it's a situation that's rooted in fear. Many are not. They feel like they need the support of these particular individuals to win their elections. This is what it's about, to win their re-election bids. And I get that. I understand it. And typically, just the entire culture in the nation right now and the environment that we have created, man. Each party's rallying around one another, and nobody's really using common sense. But but what these individuals don't realize is back in 2018, man, when all of those votes were cast, I'm going to talk about the last primary. You have a situation where, let me go to my notes here, to where we're thinking that Harris County's blue and all this business, and that's fine. The last couple cycles have went the way of Democrats, But in back in 2018, which was the last midterm, you had over 1,087,000 people who did not vote, who were registered to vote, who did not vote, dude. I said 1,087,783 who did not vote. That's enough individuals to, if that was a third party, that would be a major party. Because if all of the people who did not vote rallied around another candidate, they could beat both of these parties, man. So each party, the two major parties, Republican and Democrats, have a major issue in connecting with the voters, man. And if at any point that we get greater participation, whereby which the individuals are actually casting votes for themselves and the votes aren't being manufactured, we're going to see a different result here in Harris County. It wasn't that long ago where individuals from both parties were winning. We had a montage of different winners on both sides. Some Republicans will win, some Democrats would win. But now what we have is these stealth candidates because I believe that votes are being manufactured and nobody wants to be left out. So again, it's rooted in fear. People thinking if I don't go along, if I don't be quiet, then I perhaps, may get booted out. Then you're also looking at another situation where what you saw happen to Judge Powell. Remember that? Judge Powell in the last election, whereby which you get primaried. So if you step out of line, you can get primaried and get taken out of your position. So again, man, at the bottom line is rooted in fear. And so you've got to have some people of courage to rise up, to ferret out some of this stuff, man, and stand strong against the tide that's going on. And to that extent, we can create a different sort of democracy where we're getting the best candidates elected, duly qualified candidates who value us, which is what we need, and who aren't beholden to the political party bosses or to rogue elected officials and that sort of thing.
Well, and two, it's one of those deals where the Democratic Party in Harris County, if it's incestuous with the leadership, you have weak candidates continually. But if it's a bigger, broader section of Democrats that get to run and replace people that are not doing a good job, you have a much healthier party. So in other words, this shouldn't be a bad thing, getting rid of the incestuous crap that's going on. It should be a good thing because you have a much healthier party with younger people who have possibly better ideas that can be tried and used.
And here's why I'm talking about the Democrats here. Again, I have clients on both sides, the Dem side and Republican side. And you don't see this happening on the Republican side. When they decide they want someone out of office, they can get that person out of office. Use two examples. Briscoe Cain, he unseated a Republican state rep to win his seat. Valerie Swanson unseated Debbie Riddle. I mean, longtime Republican to take that seat. We don't see that happening on the Dem side, even when our young people, progressives that decide to rise up, decide to do it the right way, man, they always come up short. And that should change. They should be able to, anyone who runs for office should be able to do so without anyone having an unfair advantage over them.
I see one of my favorite politicians just popped in, the Honorable Harold Dutton Jr. I just want to say this to you, Mr. Dutton. I've been trying to call you. I want you on the show because I'm a Harold Dutton fan. And I'm going to tell y'all why I'm a Harold Dutton fan. He ain't got no punk in him. You ain't going to punk Harold Dutton. You ain't going to force him to do nothing. And if he have to tell you, he will tell you, fuck you. He is who he is. You may not like him, but you're going to have to respect him. So the thing is these folks sending folks after Dutton. Why? Y'all got somebody in mind y'all want to run against him? I tell you what, because I know, and I'm just telling y'all what it is. It don't matter who you run against, you ain't going to beat him. You ain't going to beat him. You ain't going to beat him. And y'all tell me if I get this wrong. People are mad at Dutton because he left D.C. and he came back to Austin. The job of a Texas legislator is to battle. You go into that house and you go into battle for what you believe in. I've seen bills where he needed partisan support on it, and he got them bills passed. So I'm going to ask every Democrat that got a problem with Harold Dutton, every one of you young progressives that got a problem with Harold Dutton, why you didn't tell your representative to walk out when they got ready to deal with that gun bill? Why you didn't tell them? Why they didn't walk out then? Because they cut the deal on it. They cut the deal. I don't hear y'all saying nothing about that gun bill. And for me, what I deal with is young kids murdering people. I'm trying to stop the murder rate from going up. So I'm not a fan of the actual gun law. I believe in the Constitution, but I just think we're moving a little bit too fast down here in Texas with this here, man. But I'm questioning why there's no energy for the representatives who didn't walk out on the gun bill. Why you didn't walk out? Aubrey, you want to chime in? Or Chuck, you want to chime in?
Let me chime in.
You want to send your rodeo clown after Mr. Dutton?
Well, from what I see, one of the issues they got with Dutton is that he doesn't support boys playing in girls' sports, and that pissed him off. I don't know why. I mean, like, I don't see how that's a winning issue in a lot of the Democratic neighborhoods to say, yeah, let me let a 16-year-old boy, you know, that's almost fully grown play against 15, 16-year-old girls and beat them in track and field. I mean, I don't have no problem with people that, you know, that are transgender, but I don't believe that kids, you know, need to be robbed of their sports activities. And I think that's why they went after it.
I think
I
think my girls do a fabulous job in the sports that they represent. I was watching a trailer today of Richard Williams. You know, Will Smith has done a movie about Serena and Venus's dad. You know what I'm saying? So the thing is these people, they got to back up and slow down. You know, Dutton is who he is. You know, one lady just asked, why did he vote for the gun bill? Because maybe he believes in the Second Amendment, and that's what he felt. Maybe he felt that he believed in it. Whether he was wrong or right, that's something you would have to talk to the state rep on. But what I'm asking is, why did they not walk out? They're complaining about that bill now, but they didn't walk out on that bill. If they'd have walked out on that bill, they'd have walked out on all of them. Y'all don't understand. They cut the deal behind closed doors. See, you ain't finna get nothing passed when you don't control that level of government with your representation. You have to figure out a way to work with the other side to get what you want passed. You have to figure that out. And if you can't figure that out, then it is what it is. So what happens now with all the marching and parading that's going on? We want the voting laws changed on the federal level. What happens if the Republicans walk out of that house in Washington, D.C. and don't let you pass it? What you gonna say? We got to say, man, your vacation been long enough. Your vacation been long enough, man. Get your ass back down to Austin and learn how to battle. And I'm gonna be honest with you, they got some true battlers in the game. Boris Miles is a battler. Jarvis Johnson, I watched this man on the floor this year, got so much respect for him after I saw him battle. Man, go battle, make it make sense. You may just be able to pull it off, but you can't pull it off hiding in Washington. What you gonna do with redistricting if you hiding in Washington? We can't even get that done. Sooner or later, you gotta come home, man. Sooner or later, you're gonna have to come home. Bottom line, that's how I feel. And for sure, I'm sorry, Aubrey. I've stood on the state capitol steps. I've stood next to Mr. Dutton, and I battled for bills with him. On some bills with him. And I don't have a problem with Harold Dutton right now. He's a man. He stands up for what he believes in, and that's what it is.
Man, look, I mean, on this Dutton issue, I mean, I think I said last week or maybe the week before that one of the only I have respect for State Rep Dutton. One, because he's one of the only ones that have come out. He didn't send some sidebar action in terms of one of his female employees to come at me. When I said something about him that he didn't like, he actually engaged me once on Facebook. So I respect for him for doing that. He came out, he said that it wasn't true, and we went, I think, back and forth to one exchange. I mean, and it was over with. So I respect for a man who comes to the table as a man and says, "Hey, dude, I don't like what you're saying about me. It's not fair." But man, I'm gonna tell you something. What they're doing in Washington right now, you're absolutely correct, dude. They don't have the numbers, man. What we're looking at right now is theatrics. And we're in a situation right now to where the Super Tuesday is already going to be pushed back. It's not going to happen March 1st because we got to deal with the redistricting stuff, man. So, that thing could be May right now. They're actually buttoning this thing up if they don't get this business finished. The governor's already said that he's going to continue to call special sessions, man, all the way through next November. I mean, I don't understand what the end game is here,
Let me say this here. Brenda Lawson says you give Dutton a pass on everything. That's not true. Because there was a night at Wheatley High School where we were fighting to keep our schools open because of 1842. And Mr. Dutton, who authored 1842, co-authored 1842, where if you had one school to fail, that TEA could take over the school district. Well, that's not something that we want. You feel what I'm saying? That's not something that I wanted. And that one school was Phyllis Wheatley. Now, I'm a Jack Yates line, but ain't no Jack Yates without Phyllis Wheatley. Ain't no Phyllis Wheatley without Booker T. Them the three originals. Let's get that straight. Them the three originals. I talked to Mr. Dutton, and I did some research, Brenda. Let me tell you how this panned out. Why did Mr. Dutton co-author that bill? I've said it several times, but I'm going to tell you why he co-authored that bill. Because he reached out to the superintendent at the time, who was a white guy named Terry Greer. Terry Greer was a devil, regardless of what color he was. Greer fired highly qualified teachers. He screwed up the school district to where we have not recovered from it 8-9 years later. We have not recovered from it. Mr. Dutton reached out to him to want to know what would it take to make sure that Wheatley and Cashmere could stop failing, because they continuously failed the STAR test and they were in jeopardy of being dealt with by TEA. The man treated Dutton like he was a boy. Mr. Dutton woke up and figured out, no, I ain't no boy. I'm a state rep. I know how to deal with you. See, that pen is a monster when you know how to write certain things. So Mr. Dutton went back and he co-authored this bill that put pressure on HISD. Now, in less than 3 years, all the schools that were failing ended up being acceptable. If you don't want your school district taken over, do what you need to do to fix your schools. That's all he was saying. From there and along the way, I stood on the Capitol steps and battled on other bills with him that I supported. And I gained a measure of respect for him. So I get what he's doing. And those that don't like it, stop sending rodeo clowns to do your business. If you got a problem with Dutton, I don't see you raising no hell about that ghost candidate that was in his race. You ain't raising no hell about that, is you? You ain't raising no hell about the other candidate whose house was an empty parking lot in his race. See, they picking and choosing who they want to go after. They picking and choosing who they want to go after. But if you're going to go after the ones, let me put it to you like this here. When they going to go after their own president of the coalition? Because you setting up these dummy PACs. Why don't they go after him? Brenda also said, what about his involvement with fraudulent mail ballots? Colleen showed the evidence. They're already dealing with that in Austin. That's being dealt with. If it comes back to him, he's going to have to deal with it. And that's all it boils down to. Let's get something straight. I'm going to support you until you give me a reason not to. I proved that with the former superintendent, Dr. Grenita Lathan. Everybody knew I was a Grenita fan. But it's something that happened that made me say, I can't touch this no more. And when I found out what it was, I fell off the grid with her. People like, man, but we thought you supported her. I don't support foolishness. So if you get involved with it, if Mr. Dutton gets proven to where he violated the law, he can get the business too. He can get the business too. But if we talking about early ballots, it's a whole bunch of black politicians we need to be talking about then. It's a whole bunch of them. But we picking and choosing who we want to go after because somebody in the back of their brain got somebody they want to run against Mr. Dutton. And I'm going to be honest with you. They was on Mr. Dutton behind in the last election. And they still couldn't beat him. So why don't you take a trip and sit down and talk to him and figure out where his mind is? That's what I do when I got a problem with a politician. I reach out to him. I want to sit down and talk to you and see where we at. Aubrey?
You're absolutely correct, man. They're picking and choosing, which battles that they want to fight on the others. They're sticking their heads in the sand, to where they don't want to see, what's going on, man. This is some tough situations about some powerful people and people who many of us love, man. I mean, but this stuff that's happening here in Harris County, dude, is we got a bad situation that we're looking at here, man, and we need for people to stop pointing fingers, to look at the facts and look at the information that's being presented, man, and just open your eyes. If you open your eyes, you can clearly see, where some of this stuff is going, who the players are, and we can get it stopped, and we can have fair and free elections, man, based on the one vote per person rule, man.
Chuck?
Yeah. Like I said before, if this corruption is not stopped, it's like incest in a family. I mean, you corrupt the DNA, you corrupt the grandkids. I mean, you can't keep these same crooked people doing the same crooked stuff. And then when there's a genetic defect in the brand, go, well, I don't know where that came from.
Well, Mr. Dutton commented on another page. He said, I have never engaged in any conduct regarding mail-in ballots. This is coming from people who don't like that I want black students, especially black males, educated. That's exactly what he told me when I sat down and talked to him. And he's always been approachable to me. I want y'all to understand, Mr. Dutton is out of 5th Ward and over that way. I'm from 3rd Ward, so it ain't like we've been kicking it for 20 years. I don't know Mr. Harold Dutton. I was introduced to Mr. Harold Dutton through my good friend Art Smith. And I just kind of followed him and just watched him. And, and a few years back, I went to the legislation for the first time. And that's when I stood on the steps of the Capitol with Mr. Dutton battling for a bill that I believed in. And he was standing there with us. People didn't like that then. But I think that it has a lot to do with folks wanting what they want, trying to punk politicians into doing what they want, and they can't force Dutton to do what they want. And when they can't get what they want, they're going to look for everything under the sun to complain about. Oh, he doesn't want the LGBTQ, he doesn't want transgender kids to play girl sports. I don't either. I think my girls do a great job by themselves. It's an unfair advantage. They have a higher testosterone rate than girls do. And if girls were to juice up and put their testosterone rate to the level of a transgender, they would disqualify the girls in the competitions that they would be in. Yeah. It's not fair.
Gary, here's what you have, man. I actually ran track, right? So one of the reasons, and I agree with Dutton on this particular issue. I mean, it's one of the reasons why I became where I got attacked. But look, you have a situation here to where, I ran track in college and I was not that good, so, but on the men's side, but if I went over, and I was able, and they allowed me to run on the women's side, I would have basically won any conference, on the female side, So you can't have a situation, man. These people rear their daughters from the time these kids are 8 years old in AAU track and USA track and field, man. All those, I've been out there. My sons ran track, out there all of those summers, traveling to all these different meets, man, getting these young ladies ready to compete at the high school level and college level, man, and to go on to the Olympics. It's unfair to have them to spend their lives getting ready and prepared and then run up against a man at the college level, high school level, or whatever it is. That's unfair. It should not be happening. That's my stance on it. I agree with Dutton on that. And I mean, I'm going to ride that one out, dude. No, that's flat out wrong. And it should not be going on. It should not be happening.
And Gary, earlier you mentioned Serena Williams. We wouldn't have been able to see Serena Williams play tennis and see her skill had men been allowed to play as women in her arena, because basically Serena Williams isn't even in the top 50 in male players. Like with her, the way she hits the ball and stuff, it's powerful. But compared to men, she ain't even in the top 50. So if men were allowed to go play in the women's division, you wouldn't get to see somebody like Serena Williams. In other words, she would be cheated her opportunity to show how great a player she is.
You wouldn't have saw Serena. You wouldn't have saw Flojo. You see what I'm saying? You wouldn't have saw what happens if a man can run against Sha'Carri Richardson. You see what I'm saying? Yeah. It would be a unfair advantage, but I will say that I will advocate for transgender kids to make sure that they're not discriminated against, to make sure that they get a quality education. But when it comes to sports, it's just what it is, man. That's all. I mean, for years, I didn't agree with little girls playing football. I didn't agree with that. I just thought that it was too violent for girls until one of the best middle linebackers I ever had was a 9-year-old girl. So she flat out knocked your helmet off. But at the same time, there was no future in it for her. You see what I'm saying? There were no girl football leagues like they have now. And I enjoy going and watch the girls play football. But it's all girls. It's all girls. Imagine if Ray Lewis woke up and said, well, I want to go play with the girls. That's an unfair advantage. We're bigger, we're stronger, we're faster. I'm sorry.
Well, think of how many girls that have come from poor families got a scholarship because of sports. In other words, you're going to rob all of these young women that are getting scholarships to go play at the college level. You're going to screw them out of the opportunity to get that scholarship, because basically the scholarship is so you get a better education. It's not so you play sports. Sports is a bonus. The scholarship is so you get a better education to help lift you out of poverty.
Well, we got to tell the truth, and I'll tell it for the ones that don't want to see it. A lot of y'all don't give a damn about the transgender community. You saying whatever's politically correct. You just riding the train saying whatever is politically correct to make sure that you can get your votes. And according to Arrow, transgenders votes. That is why the D's push the idea of letting them compete against biological females. They vote. I get it. But a lot of these people that are advocating for transgender kids don't give a damn about transgender kids. They're just saying what's politically correct. Aubrey?
I totally agree, man. But I mean, it's sort of the same thing. We saw the same scenario that President Obama found himself in. I don't know if you remember that. He was actually not necessarily for gay marriage, man. And then when Vice President goes out there and kind of puts his foot in his mouth, and you wind up with a situation where you're not sure whether or not what the African American turnout's going to be for the second term. We wound up in a totally different space. So oh man, I don't know, man. This is a tough one. I don't see how anybody can't understand that the transgender shouldn't be competed against our against females.
Yeah, and like Gary said, nobody's saying that people that are transgender can't play sports, but either you've got a separate group or league for that, or you play in the sport that your genes give you.
Yeah, I didn't hit that, but that's one of the things. That's one of the things that I was going to say. I mean, I would, it would be really good was, if they had a separate league or a separate, division to where, they could compete against one another. I mean, that would be the fairest way to do this thing, in my opinion, and anybody who wanted to go to watch that could go and watch that particular league, but to mainstream it, I disagree with that.
And to be honest with you, I really do think they would get a lot of viewers just if there was a league like that. To be very honest with you, I think people would be curious and they'd watch. So it's not out of the realm of possibility.
There's a comment from Robert. He just put it up. Had to pop off for a second. One thing I know about the OG is he does his research. I appreciate that. What I can't appreciate is your friend, who I don't feel has the best interest of the black community in mind, miss me with that, bro. Well, you have the best interest, I know, of the African American community in your heart. I believe that you do. Do you have a problem, Robert, with what's going on with the Texas Coalition of Black Democrats? I'm not going to say it on this show. I'm going to call you and tell you. Do you have a problem with them? See, if you're going to be the strong black man, if we can support them when they're doing great, we got to check them when they're doing wrong. Because they represent us. They represent us. And I don't feel it's fair that anybody has concocted a scheme to where they can just steal money from candidates, whether they're Republican, Democrat, white, black, Latino, whatever. It's not right. It's just not right. And we can't keep supporting these people who are doing wrong. Now, Robert asked, can he come on the show? You're welcome to come on next Wednesday if you're available. Yeah, we'd love for you to come on the show. No doubt, you've been on the show before. You're very opinionated, and you're entitled to your opinion. You see what I'm saying? But I tell you this here. It's going to be spirited. We're going to be able to do it, and we'll just agree to disagree on that show on some issues. But it's time for us as black people to check our people. Because on the real, and excuse me, Chuck and Aubrey and all of y'all out there, we got some politicians on some fuck shit right now. We got some black leadership on some fuck shit right now. And not only are they trying to screw the good white people, they screwing the good black people by taking their money. I got a problem with that. Aubrey?
Man, you hit the nail on the head there, man. I mean, we've got to, something has to happen. I don't know if we're going to find common ground, but again, I fall back onto anyone who wants to run for office. They should not have to kiss anybody's ring. They should not have to do all that stuff. And if they decide to run, they put their money up, they campaign, they deserve the right to run their election without anybody getting an unfair advantage of them over them. That's my belief, and that's what I'm going to stick to, man. And that's the way that it needs to be. And it's our job to make certain that it gets to that point. We don't need to see what happened to Maria T. Jackson to happen to anybody else, man. You can't have this sort of stuff going on.
Chuck, give them your final thoughts.
Well, I'm glad that this is being exposed. And since it's getting exposed early, there's plenty of time to correct this stuff. So, nobody's to blame but the people that are doing the corruption. They're the ones using the name. We're just pointing out the corruption.
Final thoughts, Aubrey.
Listen, at this particular point, man, there used to be this old saying, man, ain't nobody mad but the devil. Dude, nobody who's clean should be upset with what we're doing. If you're clean, all you do is you do your business, right? You run your campaign and you win. If you're doing something corrupt and you're afraid that we're going to find it out, then I don't blame you for being upset. But if you're a clean candidate, nothing that we're doing should be concerning you. You should want the process to be free. You should want the process to be fair, and you should want there to be only one vote, per person. And that's the bottom line.
I'm gonna close it out with this here and say this. Some of us want to run fair elections. If Myrna Guidry decides to run for re-election, then I'm fine with that. And if she beats me in a fair race, I can live with that all day long. I can live with that. But you are not, and I'm not saying Myrna in particular, but the parties that like to play, you are not finna rake me out my race. It's not gonna happen. Too many people have invested in this campaign. Too many people believe that I can be a change agent for children. And we're gonna fight this battle. We're gonna fight this battle. And, Rob, I get what you're saying, but at the end of the day, before we can call the white man wrong, when we gonna call a spade a spade? I could take Chuck off this program. None of my views will change. When we gonna call a spade a spade? When we gonna admit that our people are doing dirty shit and they just sloppy at doing it? They keep getting caught. We can't get to the Republican side because every day it's some Democratic BS going on, and they keep getting caught. So what are we supposed to do? Be quiet, stand behind these people that we know are raping our communities? No. I love you like a brother, but no. And if that means I lose a few friends along the way, then the hell with it. You wasn't my friend to begin with. And that's how I feel. No, it cannot continue to happen. If you're doing dirty shit, then guess what? You gonna get the business. Say, man, another spirited discussion by the best in the business. Dirty Politrickz on a Wednesday. I recommend you guys go clean up them dirty packs you running because we coming. And it ain't nothing you can do to stop us. And please, whatever they do, Aubrey and Chuck, hide all the rodeo clowns because this ain't the game you need to be in. On behalf of my good friend Chuck Mahler, Aubrey R. Taylor, I am the 5-star general. Tomorrow night, Big 50, the Hood CNN. You know what it is. We're going to holler at you.